Welcome back to the Weekly Huddle podcast. Due to COVID shenanigans, I'm stuck here with the OG podcast member. This is like throwing it back to last May when we first started doing this shit. We've almost been doing this for a year. It's been almost a year.
Are you serious?
It's been so we started the beginning of last May. It's now January. So I mean 4 months until a year, so it's been 8 months we've been doing this.
Wow.
Yeah. Still waiting to get put through a table though.
It's gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
I'm gonna plead my case. We're holding a court case, and I will plead to the jury.
You lost. There's no case to hold. You lost.
Plead to the jury that Drew Lock had a better season than Patrick Mahomes. I will lose, but I will plead my case. The real reason
That's the real reason.
The topic of today's podcast is going to be playoff predictions, since playoffs start in fucking 3 days, 4 days.
Yes.
So we're going to go through that. We've each filled out brackets. I'm going to show you mine. He's just going to read off his because he's lame. He can't screen share because he's a pro.
Yes.
So I'm going to flip you right over. Let's flip right over to my bracket then. So
cool.
I'm just going to ask you the playoff matchups, and we're going to read them off each other. All right. So starting off with 2-seeded Bills. Okay. Maybe a little bias here between the two of us, but we're going to argue our cases, okay? Kind of preferences by cutting this off. Before we even start, I'm holding a bracket challenge in my work, and this one bitch is like, oh, I don't know football. I'm like, well, it's okay. You don't need to know football. You can just bet $5 and guess random teams. Most people don't really know what they're talking about anyway. This bitch, guess where Super Bowl is? I want you to guess the two teams in the Super Bowl. Guess. You'll never fucking get it.
Cleveland and the Rams.
You were scarily close. She had Cleveland and Chicago. With Cleveland winning. I'm just sitting there like...
I'm glad I was close.
I'm like, I'm just going to get your $5 now, aren't I?
And Cleveland winning.
Okay, so anyway, back to our totally non-biased predictions for this game. Indianapolis at Buffalo. Who do you have winning, sir?
I think it comes as no surprise that I pick the Bills winning this matchup. I mean, the Bills have been on a roll. I mean, Indy has a good running game, and they just came off a huge running game last week. And even though running is, we couldn't stop the Patriots from running. They couldn't score, but they still ran all over us. So running game is something to worry about with the Bills, but I still think with the momentum that we have going into this game, we should be totally fine, and we should definitely win this game. And if we don't, I will cry.
Okay, so I also want the Bills. Big shocker there. You were correct with the running game, where they are very good at running the ball. Jonathan Taylor, especially in the last 6 weeks, has been very good, getting 7 of his 11 touchdowns in the last 6 weeks. He ran for 253 yards last week against, who were they facing? Jags. The Jags. Oh, never mind. That's not that impressive. It sounded a lot more impressive when I thought they were facing someone good. So I'm... The Colts are good at running the ball, which the Bills are not good at stopping. So they got that advantage there. But the Colts defense is good specifically at stopping the run and not really stopping the pass, which the Bills don't really do all that much anyway. So as long as you can get the lead and try to hold the lead, I think if you force Philip Rivers to try to come back at all, you're going to win, which is how I foresee this game going. So next game is Cleveland at Pittsburgh. The Cleveland COVIDs at Pittsburgh Steelers. Who do you have and why?
I don't know how you're going to feel about my pick, but I have the Cleveland COVIDs winning, actually.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Why is just... It's one of those where it's literally just like, I see this as one of those games that is an upset that no one sees coming, that's gonna come, and everyone's gonna be like, why did this happen? But the Pittsburgh TikTokers are gonna get taken down by the COVIDs. This is a terrible matchup anyway, but you know what? It's fine. I don't trust Pittsburgh. I don't care. I'm picking the Browns.
You realize
I'm picking the Browns to win this game. I don't care.
You realize the Browns almost lost
to the
Steelers backups. And now they don't have their head coach or best offensive lineman.
I don't care.
And they have significantly
don't care.
less playoff experience than the Steelers.
Don't care.
And Ben has a week to rest his arm.
Don't care. Don't care.
I took Pittsburgh because that's
Don't care.
That's like the most. That's like that, and we'll get to another pick that's the biggest no-brainer of the whole fucking thing. Like, what are you doing?
Don't care.
Okay, so you have.
Don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
You have Cleveland winning. Okay, that's a take.
Listen, every time there's something that's unexpected that happens, this is that unexpected thing for me.
I will put money on it that Cleveland will lose. I will put money on it that Cleveland will lose. If you're that confident.
I'm not gonna put money on it because I'm not saying I'm confident in my pick. I'm just saying that's what I think is gonna happen.
Okay, fine. Baltimore at Tennessee, the battle of shitty defenses and running the ball. Who do you have and why?
Derrick Henry.
Really?
I have Derrick Henry winning the game because he's Derrick Henry.
Really? Because Tennessee.
I do. I think that Tannehill is a solid quarterback and sometimes can get more hate than is deserved. Not necessarily hate, but can get overlooked. I think that they have the right pieces on offense to even though both teams have no defense, it's going to be an offensive battle. If it's a defensive battle, I will shoot myself. Like, that shouldn't happen. But it's going to be an offensive battle, and I don't know how much I trust Lamar Jackson in this spot, if I'm being honest.
This is the same Tennessee Titans that almost just lost to the Houston Texans. You understand this, correct?
Yes, but that's also with the number one passing leader, Deshaun Watson.
I'm going to go with the hot team that's won the last 3 games in a row. Even though they were against weak opponents, I think Baltimore comes out and wins because both of their defenses are Swiss cheese. But I think I trust Baltimore's secondary more than I trust the Titans secondary. And I trust Lamar Jackson more than I trust Ryan Tannehill.
That's fair. I think this game could go either way, to be honest.
Okay, so with how I have it picked, my round 2 in the AFC is Pittsburgh at Buffalo and Baltimore at Kansas City. Yours is Tennessee at Buffalo, Cleveland at Kansas City.
Yes.
Flipping over to the NFC side now, we have the number 2 Orleans versus Chicago. Now, let me preference this. I almost picked Chicago. I almost did.
I thought about it for a little bit, but I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm that ready to. I can't do that to the Saints. I can't disrespect the Saints like that.
The only games Trubisky has been good in this stretch, he's been good at, and they've been winning, is when they were able to run the ball. And the Saints have the 3rd best run defense in the league right now. So they're going to shut down David Montgomery, and Trubisky's not going to be able to go off like he has in the previous weeks. Despite the Saints going against that amazing defense, I think Chicago's offense is going to try to give this game away for them as much as they can. And my NFC team is the Chicago Bears. That is my NFC team, and I'm just admitting defeat at this point. So I have New Orleans winning.
I also have New Orleans. Mitch Trubisky is not going to beat New Orleans. I don't care.
Does cracked ribs Drew Brees against Khalil Mack scare you at all?
A little, but not to the point where I'm worried.
Okay.
Like, I'm not worried about it, but
Okay.
it's definitely like a thought.
All right. So we got Seattle hosting the Rams. Now, the Rams quarterback scenario is it's either Jared Goff with a 12-day-old surgically repaired thumb in cold weather, or John Wolford against Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
That's what I thought. People keep saying.
So Wilson.
People keep telling me the Rams are going to win this game because the Rams match up well and they just faced the Seahawks. But it's like, I thought the Rams were going to win the last time they faced 2, but they didn't. And now you expect them to win with a quarterback whose throwing hand had just had surgery on it less than 2 weeks ago, in weather that's going to get hard to grip the ball already, or John Wolford making his 2nd start ever after playing in the AAF. In Seattle. It's not happening. Plus, they're
the Rams got that. Rams Super Bowl winners. Super Bowl. Give it to them right now.
The Seahawks defense has been amazing the second half of the season, ever since they traded for Carlos Dunlap. As long as they can just finally rediscover their offense, which Russell Wilson, one of the best, if not the best, playoff quarterback ever behind Tom Brady, if he can rediscover some of his offense in crunch time, which is the playoffs, they'll be fine. Anyway, this is another game I almost want the upset with. Do you have anything else to say about the Seattle Rams?
No, I don't.
This is another game I almost went the upset with, but I eventually, I said, okay, you know what? I'm going with Tampa Bay just because I think they have too many weapons to fail. Like the Washington QB situation, just the fact that it's the NFC East champion, there's no way they win a game, right? They got to the playoffs. They got their feel-good story, cancer, leg surgery, made to the playoffs. Now they can just quietly leave.
A part of me really wants them to win for multiple reasons. 1, because Tom Brady. 2, because I like Chase Young. 3, because I like Ron Rivera. 4, because the meme. But, I mean, I can't sit here and say that the Washington football team is going to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I just can't do that.
Now, and to try to defend the Washington football team here and say why maybe they could win is because if Alex Smith doesn't turn the ball over, Tom Brady has been struggling against pass rushes this year, like really badly, and he struggles in the night games. And this game is the 8:20 game, I believe, on Saturday or Sunday. It's the 8:20 game on one of those nights. The only 2 nights there are. So obviously.
One of those.
It's one of the late night games, so he both struggles at night for some reason this year, and struggles against a good pass rush, which Washington has the best pass rush outside of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Which, real quick, this is totally off topic since we already talked about the Rams, but this is an insane stat I heard today that I just need to tell someone about. So Aaron Donald leads the league in quarterback pressures this year, right? But the gap between him and number 2, and number 2 player is TJ Watt. The gap between Aaron Donald and TJ Watt is the same amount of space as the gap between TJ Watt and the 17th player. That's how good Aaron Donald is. Get him out of LA, because LA is not going to be able to win with the way they're playing. People
still want to say that Aaron Donald isn't one of the most dominant defensive players in all of football.
History.
I don't care.
I once argued that if Aaron Donald won another 1 or 2 defensive player of the years, he would be the best defensive player of all time, and I got total shit for that.
I think he needs to be on a team. Well, just for him, period. He needs to be on a team that can win him a ring. He needs to. I don't want to see him be another Larry Fitzgerald. I don't.
Right. The man is too talented to not win.
Right. Like Larry Fitzgerald, which he's now retiring. So that's very sad.
Is he? Is it confirmed?
I believe it is. I think he is retiring after what? How many seasons? A lot. 15,
16, something like that?
17? I don't know. A lot.
So
after a very disappointing
he was
getting kicked out of the playoffs and all.
He was too loyal.
Yeah, I mean, I like loyalty, but at that point,
I don't blame you. I don't blame you for ring chasing. Go to Tampa Bay. Flipping back over to the AFC now, we have to. You're gonna have to talk about your own because ours are different. But my first game is Pittsburgh at Buffalo, a game we've already seen this year and we saw it last year in Buffalo. Unless the Steelers revert back to early season form, I don't see them.
Continue.
I don't see them coming anywhere close to beating us. Just because I know their defense is really good, but like at the same time we have really good pass blocking, and it's just gonna be a repeat of the Sunday football game. I feel like if it's not that game, because that was the game. Weren't we coming off the Hail Murray from that game, or was that the game after?
I think it was the game after.
Right. So it was our bye week, and then we came off the bye week and we faced the Steelers. Was that?
I think so. I know there was a week in between. I don't know if it was a bye. We faced someone and just did our thing.
I know our bye was after the Hail Murray, but I just can't remember if there was a game before that. Regardless, we were still in that area. We were like, oh shit, we just lost, and then we beat the brakes off of them on national television.
Yeah.
In this scenario, we're coming in on a 7 or 8 game win streak, and we're gonna beat the brakes off of them again with fans in stadium this time. So I think it'll be a decently easy win.
Yeah. As that is the scenario, I mean, no matter what, I'll always say any team with a Watt or a Bosa, I'm worried about, because those children, I don't know what their parents fed them, but they're all gods. But even so, I think that it'll just be a repeat of the last time we faced Pittsburgh. I was worried about having Miami be our matchup for the first round for the sake of revenge game, but that was the only team that I was worried about for some reason. Like Pittsburgh, when I hear revenge game, I'm not worried at all.
The 3 teams I don't want to face in the playoffs are Tennessee, Baltimore, and KC. And in the scenario that I have drafted up here, we only have to face one of those teams, because Baltimore and Tennessee will they'll each eliminate one another. One of them will get eliminated there, and then KC is going to eliminate Baltimore. A sneak peek to my next pick is KC is going to beat Baltimore, because KC is KC, and they smack Baltimore around. Now, I can see that I almost went the other way with this, because teams that rest starters week 17 and then get the first round week bye are 1-3 all time. So I thought maybe the hot Baltimore Ravens could come in and beat KC, but I'm not.
There's only been 4 teams all time.
Yeah, that have done that. That have sit starters and then had the bye week. So I'm not. I almost went with it, but I don't want to bet against the champs too hard.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I think. So looking at my next game, also KC is going to beat Baltimore, just because I think they match up well enough, and Baltimore's pass defense is not going to be able to stop Mahomes, even though he's been shaky pass. But maybe this rest is what he needs. I don't think so. I can very easily see Baltimore or KC winning that game. So now over to yours.
Yeah, on my side, they come back together at the end, but this is where we kind of have our disagreements. I have Buffalo and Tennessee facing off, and then for that I have Buffalo winning. I think even though Derrick Henry is very scary, he is a very scary man. Josh Norman would agree. I still think, Buffalo's hot. We have our extremely dominant passing offense, probably arguably the best offense in the league in the past 7 or 8 weeks. And with Tennessee's defense being what it is, I think there shouldn't be a reason why we lose this game. I think we should simply outscore Tennessee. Like, that should just be how it goes. If it doesn't go that way, oh my God, I will hate my team. We're
a lot different team than we were when we lost to Tennessee, which was surprisingly closer than you kind of remember it, because there was a garbage time touchdown because of a fumble by Andre Roberts on a kickoff, and another one. There was if you could erase seven between 1 or 2 touchdowns off that game, that's what the real score was. But we were just defeated, and it was all because of COVID fucking around and shit. This time we'll be home for 1, and 2 we'll be ready and hot and fired up, and the Tennessee pass defense has definitely fallen off in the past weeks while we've only gotten hotter. So I can definitely see us pulling out the win there. But also I can see Tennessee winning that one again. So I mean, that one would be close. I agree. I think us versus Pittsburgh would be a bigger win for us. We'd win by more than us versus Tennessee. I think there's 0 chance Pittsburgh beats us in the playoffs, but I think Tennessee has a chance, a 40-60% chance to beat us if we met up again.
I think that's fair. And then on the other side, I have KC facing Cleveland. Anyone who picks Cleveland in this matchup, never speak to me again. Kansas City moves on. I don't even have to explain that.
Cleveland would still be without their coach, because he has to wait the full 2 weeks because he tested positive. So even if they somehow beat Pittsburgh and face the KC, they'd face the KC with their special teams coach as their head coach.
Kansas City versus Buffalo.
Okay, all right. Before we get to that, and we get to that debate, we have our NFC teams, which are the same, so we can look back to mine. Seattle at New Orleans. Who do you have winning?
This one I have Seattle winning. I don't know if you are different in that.
I do agree. Seattle. I do have Seattle winning that one. Like I said, playoff for us. That pass defense hasn't been good, and they don't really rely on the run game as much nowadays. So I feel like if playoff Russ is going to show up, he'll show up and be able to torch that secondary. And even if the Saints can wade the pass, stave off the Chicago pass rush, I think they're still going to be more banged up in that game, because Breeze is probably going to take a beating from the pass rush, and Seattle's pass rush has been pretty good too. So I think it's just going to be too overwhelmed. They're going to be too broken, too tired. They're going to be just like dead in the water when they reach Seattle.
Yeah, and either way, I think, Breeze isn't, like, he's still good by all means, but he's not the same quarterback that he was.
Right, exactly.
I think they're going to have to lean a little bit more on Alvin Kamara, and I don't know if Alvin Kamara can win them this game.
If Kamara can go off, then maybe. But I just think Seattle's going to find form just because it's playoffs, and that's what Seattle does in the playoffs. And I think the defense is going to stay stout because it's Pete Carroll, and they'll be able to knock off the Saints. It'll be a close one, but I think they'll be able to pull ahead late into the game. Then we have the Bucs at the Packers. I want to see if we're different on this one.
Bucs and Packers. I have the Packers winning this one.
Okay, so we are different. I have the Bucs.
Interesting. I am not ready to, stray away from pissed off Aaron Rodgers. I am a big fan of Aaron Rodgers this season. I like what he's doing. Maybe it's because I have a Packers fan in my ear talking about how much all these like Packers stuff, but I'm real high on the Packers, and I don't see them losing to the Buccaneers, if I'm being 100% honest.
I will throw you back to week 4, whatever it was, when Aaron Rodgers was killing everybody, and then the Bucs just destroyed them. But I can see where you're coming from. I also think the Bucs with Tom Brady. It's Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers, first time ever in the playoffs. That'd be amazing.
Wow.
I haven't been sold on the Packers this year at all. The defense has been kind of shaky, in my opinion, and outside of Devontae Adams, their other weapons are going to run out of Cinderella magic eventually. So I think with the versatility in the Tampa Bay secondary, as well as the run defense from linebackers like Devin Bush and Levante David, I think they'll be able to lock down Aaron. What's his name? The running back for the Packers.
Jones.
Aaron Jones.
Right. Yeah.
I kept wanting to say Aaron Williams, and that's wrong. Mostly because their backup running back is Jamal Williams. But Aaron Jones is not going to be able to run as well as he thinks he has been able to, and it's going to become more of a one-dimensional thing. I just think I question the Packers' legitimacy as a number 1 seed, and then they almost lost to the Panthers. So I was like, oh, vindicated. Then they busted the fucking Titans, and they busted the Bears. So, I mean, they beat the teams they're supposed to beat. I just think Tampa Bay is gonna. I just think they're gonna win. I just have a weird feeling that they're gonna win.
I have a feeling. I'm gonna disagree on your point of their weapons are gonna run out of magic. I feel like Rodgers is the type of quarterback, the type of guy that's gonna elevate those guys and keep them elevated throughout the playoffs. And I think that the playoffs are a different beast than the regular season. I think that they can go on and win the games that maybe they're not supposed to win, or maybe might be a little more difficult for them to win. I think they can go on and win those games in the playoffs when it's time to win.
Okay. So then AFC Championship game, Buffalo at KC. Who do you have winning that one?
So this one, it was difficult as a Buffalo fan to go against Buffalo, but I have to pick Kansas City. I mean, it's hard for me to not pick Kansas City, even though, I mean, if you follow like Bills media and all that, you see all the different stats and all the different talking points of Josh Allen over Pat Mahomes or the Bills over the Chiefs in general. If there's any team to beat the Chiefs, it's Buffalo. But I, as a Buffalo fan, would be very satisfied getting to this point and losing to Kansas City, and that's what I think will happen.
I'm going to go opposed to you. I'm going to keep the Buffalo fan inside me alive and breathing, and I have a few points here for you. One is throw you back to my aforementioned teams that rest in week 17 and then come out and lose, and then have the bye week and then lose in the playoffs, 1-3, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they'll lose to Baltimore just because I think Baltimore plays into their matchup. They play matchup well with Baltimore, and I think even with the rust, Pat Mahomes is going to be able to attack that pass defense. And they blew them out early in the year. I think they'll have rust at the beginning of the game, but Baltimore's also a very physical team. So I think even if they can stave off Baltimore, it's going to be a close game. They're going to win it close. That's why I also said Baltimore could potentially win that game. I think the Bills only lost. Now, remember, this is the game where Josh Allen threw for like 120 yards the entire game. And it was shitty weather conditions and everything. But the Bills only lost by 9 points. And that was before they got their defense figured out. And when both linebackers were hurt. So I think with everything being healthy, God forbid everything stays healthy, they'll have come off of big wins against Indianapolis, and I'm going to predict blowing out the Steelers coming into the game with KC eking out a tight win against Baltimore. I think the momentum with Buffalo, I think, since we had kept it close regardless in the first place, and the fact that they're already banged, they're going to be banged up coming in, even though they got the extra week rest, they already showed, and I'm giving them the win in the first week because they're KC, they're just built differently. But I don't think they're built enough differently to overcome the rust and because coming right from that rusty period to getting fucking punched in the mouth by a team as physical as the Ravens is going to impact you. And you have to go face the Bills, who are as hot as any team in the league, probably the hottest. You might have, I think Buffalo can pull that one out. It'll be high scoring, but I think the Bills defense situationally is better than the Chiefs defense and be able to come up with some big turnovers, especially with the way Mahomes has been playing.
Yeah, I can see Buffalo winning this. I think that Kansas City going in with their playoff and Super Bowl experience, and the Bills, who the 2 times they did make it to the playoffs, they got eliminated in the first round. Granted, one of the time was with Tyrod Taylor. The other time
was it that team last year? The team last year was totally different from the team this year. It was a totally different feel. You can
that is fair.
You can just tell this team is different.
That is fair. But
even the most hardcore Buffalo fan would not be without lying to themselves would have told you that they were going to win the Super Bowl last year. There was not.
Oh yeah, and even that team was completely different from the team that broke the drought.
Exactly. That
lost to Jacksonville somehow. I don't like how that sounds now, but I'm gonna stick with my gut feeling of I think that Kansas City, their experience, Pat Mahomes with all the weapons that he has on offense. I mean, I think that Buffalo, one of the keys would have to be, first of all, our linebackers playing great, having to deal with people like Travis Kelce, and our secondary dealing with not necessarily Sammy Watkins, but I think Tyreek Hill is going to be a problem. And we need to deal with him, with our secondary, with our safeties, with our corners, whoever we match him up with. We need to deal with him if we want to win that game.
Okay, so now we're on the NFC with Seattle against Tampa Bay for me and Seattle against Green Bay for you. I have Seattle winning against Tampa Bay strictly because, as we mentioned before, one, this will be a primetime game in the late at night, which Brady has struggled, and it's against a good pass rush. Well, if it's a good pass rush, why didn't Washington beat them? Because Washington's quarterback is Alex Smith. This is going to be Russell Wilson coming off big wins against a division rival and the Saints. They're going to come in feeling dangerous, and then Russ is going to come in. He's going to make plays, and the pass rush is going to get to Tom Brady. I just think that the Hawks match up the best with the Bucks of anyone in this playoff bracket in the NFC. The Seahawks match up the best against the Buccaneers, and if they meet, the Seahawks are going to win.
I can agree with that. I think if the Seahawks and Buccaneers do meet, it'll be too much. I mean, Tom Brady this season has not looked like,
I mean, he's
Tom Brady under Bill Belichick. He's been good. Don't get me wrong.
Been good.
But now, especially because isn't Mike Evans out now? That's -1 weapon.
Well, it was like a worst case scenario was avoided. He's going to be back for the playoffs eventually, and this is an NFC Championship game.
Okay.
So he'll
be back by then.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I think either way that matchup, Seattle will definitely win. Okay. I do want to ask you, if it was Seattle versus Green Bay, who do you think would win that matchup?
Well, like I said, I wasn't that very high on Green Bay, but with that in mind, if I was in your scenario picking, and I don't know, so Aaron Rodgers is coming off a big win against Tampa Bay in the scenario.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like with that one blemish on the record taken care of against a good team that beat them earlier, I think Green Bay would come in, and with Jair Alexander matching up with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett he's hit or miss every other week. I think Green Bay could probably pull one out with some Rodgers magic.
Okay, because that's where I went. I had Green Bay beating Seattle and moving on to the Super Bowl.
So it's KC Green Bay for you?
Yes.
Mine is Buffalo Seattle. So we're totally different.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
All right, I have one quick question. This may seem not important, but it is for this prediction. Who wins MVP? Because that award is announced before the Super Bowl. You think Rodgers would win it?
I think Rodgers wins MVP.
So if you don't give Kansas City the win, you're wrong.
What do you mean?
So you've never heard of the MVP curse?
I have not.
So MVPs who are in the Super Bowl tend to lose the Super Bowl, right? I'm gonna rattle off some names for you.
All right, you do you.
Matt Ryan was the MVP when they blew the 20-3 lead. Cam Newton was the MVP when they lost to the Broncos. Peyton Manning was the MVP when they lost to the Seahawks. There's another one I'm missing. Because Lamar Jackson was MVP last year. I'm missing one of them. But you get what I mean. Teams that have the MVP going into the Super Bowl more often than not lose the Super Bowl. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like a superstition. But teams that have the MVP going into the Super Bowl tend to lose the Super Bowl.
Interesting. Aaron Rodgers.
Oh wait,
wins MVP.
Tom Brady lost it. No, wrong year. My bad. Back up. I rescind that one.
I think I was gonna say something, but then you said Peyton Manning, but so I can't say that to discredit Peyton Manning, but Aaron Rodgers is not Matt Ryan, and Aaron Rodgers is not Cam Newton. I think Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay will go in, and I think they will beat Kansas City, and I think Green Bay will be Super Bowl champions, and Aaron Rodgers will have MVP. Which, by the way, no, never mind. I'll save that. I was gonna rant about Josh Allen versus Rodgers, but whatever. We'll save that.
We'll talk about that in a second. Let me just throw my prediction real quick. Like I said previously, this matches up. I didn't do this intentionally. It's just how I saw the games happening. It just happened to work out perfectly for my bet with Tobias. But so Buffalo Seattle, which is my bet, my $100 bet. This is gonna be for all the marbles between the two of us. But this is not the reason I picked this Super Bowl. I picked the Super Bowl because it's the hottest team in the NFL with favorable matchups up until the KC matchup, which I still think they could win it, even though it's not favorable for them.
Right. No, agreed.
Versus a team that's defense got hot when its offense got cold, but this quarterback and this coach get hot in the playoffs offensively and overall, and have fair matchups against a beaten and bruised New Orleans team and a Bucs team. I believe doesn't match up well with them.
Right.
So we throw it back to week 8, I believe it was, when the Bills faced the Seahawks, when the Seahawks were the hottest thing going. They were letting Russ cook. Russ was the clear and obvious MVP, and then the Bills beat the doors off of them. They won by 10, but they were winning by 17 with 42 seconds left before DK Metcalf got his first touchdown in the game with 40 seconds left. So it was a 17-point victory, all said and done.
Right.
This is a different Seahawks team than what they faced then. Their defense is good now. As long as everyone stays healthy. Carlos Dunlap, as opposed to that game, was his first game he played with the Seahawks. Now has a whole half season playing with them. And in this predictions, their offense has gotten hot enough to carve through Tampa Bay and New Orleans and the Rams, who match up well with them. So you'd be hard-pressed for me to say we're just going to cream them like we did in Week 8.
Right.
What I am going to say, though, is I don't trust the Seahawks secondary to cover all the weapons the Bills have. They're good against the run. They've always been good against the run. Their pass rush has improved, and what has helped them with their pass defense is the improvement of their pass rush. But I think the Bills, offensively, blocking-wise, and Josh Allen's ability to escape can kind of nullify that. And as long as they can go in there, keep calm, keep composure, I think they can attack that secondary like they did in Week 8. So it's still pretty bad. talent-wise, corner-wise, stuff like that.
And this is a Bills team that has the added weapon of John Brown.
Exactly. John Brown is back.
Keep in mind.
And the Bills' defense, even though it was starting to get back on the right track when we were facing Seattle, it's now fully back to. It's not like the suffocating thing that they were last year, but they don't need them to be that. If the Bills put up 35 on Seattle, I don't think Seattle's going to match that point total with how our defense is playing.
Right.
And even if Seattle gets hot in the playoffs, I think the Bills will handle them. We're gonna throw out some score predictions real quick. I'm thinking Bills 35-23.
I would say Bills. I would say Bills 34, Seattle 21. Yeah, that's what I'd go with.
Okay, and then in your scenario, you have Green Bay winning. What would your score be for them?
This one would be close. This would be one of the better Super Bowls in recent history. I feel like this would be a really good game.
I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers passing the torch to new Aaron Rodgers by beating him.
I'd have it. I don't think it's going to be a huge scoring game. It's not going to be like 45-40 or something crazy. But I think it's going to get up there. I think it's going to get, I'd say maybe 35-31 in favor of Green Bay.
See, I'm going to go with KC to win this because, like I said, the MVP thing, which Aaron Rodgers is going to win the MVP, let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how much you want Josh Allen to win it, because he means the most to his team, in my opinion. But we can argue about that at a different time.
Right.
I think that the Chiefs will have too many weapons for the Packers defense, which has struggled. It hasn't been great. They haven't been bad either. They're kind of average, maybe above average slightly. And I think that, like I said, the Packers offense, it just doesn't scare me like the Chiefs offense does.
Okay.
If one team could go to blow with the Packers, it's the Chiefs. And I think the Chiefs actually have more firepower and the ability to run the score better than they do.
Okay. No, yeah, that's fair.
So I would go Chiefs 28, Packers 24.
All right.
So that's our predictions. We differ slightly. We differed the entire way through. We started in the AFC wildcard. We differed in the conference championships. That we differed. Super Bowl, we're totally 100% different. So that's a lot better than what I thought was gonna happen. I thought we were gonna be similar. That's great.
You know, I had a feeling when we went into it. I was doing mine, and I was like, I wanted to be a little different, but I didn't pick out of the sake of being different.
Yeah.
Like if it was gonna be something different, like for example Pittsburgh versus Cleveland, I wanted it to be something that I could actually see happening.
Yeah, I could see both of our scenarios occurring. There's only a few games in this bracket that I'm like, there's no way this team beats this team, which is like Tampa Bay, Washington, Seattle Rams. I think Pittsburgh, Cleveland. Any
wild card NFC.
Right. I think Pittsburgh, Cleveland is pretty cut and dry, but according to you, there's a lot more gray area there.
I just have this feeling. It's like how the Bills used to deal all the time with these trap games. I think this is a Pittsburgh trap game here. I don't know. It's just a feeling I got.
All right. So tell us how wrong we are. All of our social medias or in the comments or whatever, however you're listening or watching to this. Any parting words, Christian?
What she said.
I didn't hear what she said.
I didn't either. Just go with it.
All right, cool.
Just pretend that she said Josh Allen for MVP.